Hi guys, welcome to Nine Links. This is your host Alex. Today I'm gonna do something a little different than the usual. Today I'm gonna talk about pruning, and I'm gonna do a screencast on here instead of doing actual outside video recording. It's easier to do it on the screencast because I can draw here and I can show what I'm talking about directly. And it's also outside it's a little bit chilly right now. As you know, I'm living in zone 6B and it's right now it's in October, so temperature it's a little cold out there right now. Not a good place to do video casting. Anyway, right, just testing out. And today we're going to talk about pruning. That's one of the most frequent asked question that people send it to me. They ask me, how am I going to prune this plant? Should I prune it now? Time. What kind of a structure do I need to prune it as? So this is the most asked question. So I decided to, since people ask that question most of the time, might as well do a video casting on what pruning is and just go over a very, very brief, general way to prune your plant. And now I want to make a disclaimer first. I'm not one of those pruning guru or pruning hardcore people who knows how to prune every single trees or plants. I'm just learn most of my stuff from other people and also from reading the book. And if you really want to go into detail on how to prune many different kind of trees and many different kind of plants, here's a book for you. I'll put it right there. And also what I'm going to talk about today is very general. So if you learn this this pruning, it will work for most of your plants and it should be fine. But if you, like I say, want to go into detail and certain way to do certain things, certain way to prune certain, like fruits and stuff, you can read a book and do your own little research. Okay, but here it goes. So what is pruning? Okay, pruning, basically the way we get rid of a branch or leaf from the tree, okay, from the plant. For example, just very simple. Also, don't mind my drawing, okay? My drawing is not good. Anyway, okay, let's say this is a tree, okay, and have a lot of branches coming out, and the okay, make it, and the branches coming out like this side is getting longer than the this side is longer, so it doesn't look pretty. So what pruning does is that we cut things. Here, let me change the color so you can tell. So the red marks means that's where we cut them. We cut the branches off so the overall tree can be balanced, easier to maintain. Well, also, I'm pretty sure most of you guys notice sometimes when you have a power line out there, let's draw a foreign object as power line, as a blue, going across your street. Let's say just three of them, and your tree is getting a little lengthy on one side and the branches going into the power line. So the local authority wants you to take off your cut off your branches right there. Pruning is also the same thing as cutting off branches. It's cut off branches. Okay, so now as you can see, one of the mistakes that as for the new beginners when it comes to pruning is that they don't want to cut branches off. The feeling of harming your tree, okay? But don't worry about it because most of the time the plants grow better after you prune them off. Like for example, let me give you an example right here. Let's say this plant, this is a little pot, okay? And for some of you guys send me the pictures and ask me where to prune and stuff. Most of the time you have a very lengthy plants like this, for example, and you say where to cut, and it's too big. It's keep tilting over my pots when the wind blows on it. So for a plant like this, what you do is you can do two things. One, you can change into bigger pots. Or second, you can prune it down. Now, also maybe a third option here, you can just plant it on the ground. Okay, plant it. Oh, plant it, and the ground. And ground. Okay. Now for people who can plant it on the ground, that is the best way. You have a garden and you have a suitable good zone for it. Now, for container gardening, like from me, like I have tropical plants and 6B. For most of you guys know already. For people who don't, I live in 6B and I collect most of my plants as tropical fragrant plants. So I don't have the option to do the third one. So I can change it into a bigger pot. The bigger pot, it can only go certain size. Afterwards, it gets very heavy. So my best option for me is prune it down. So for some of you guys want to do prune it down, that's best. Now here's what we're gonna cut. For a plant like this, it's very tall, and you have option. Um, let's do a on the side real quick. What kind of pruning we're doing? There are three types of pruning. One is I call it selective. Let me erase this, and it's getting pretty messy over here. Let me erase this. There are basically three. What I think of is I broke it down to three different ways to prune your plants. Let me get rid of this. Okay, three ways. First way is called selective. Second is more of a shape, and the third just random. Now for the selective, most of this one it's very detailed. What you do is, like for example, some of the plants you have is maybe a bonsai. You want to prune it a certain way. You want to grow a certain direction, or the tree is under stress from injury. Like broken branches, maybe just dangling on the side. I don't know, like the tree that there's a dangling branch on the side. You want to take it off. And also you can use it for training, for like a way. For example, if you have a pagoda, like something like that, and you want it to grow around it, so every time there's a little thing come out, you cut them off. So that's very selective, very detailed, very high maintenance. And the shape, it's one of those you see like as long as the overall plant that has a shape, you don't care what's going on inside much. And as long as the shape is being maintained. For example, maybe you have I don't know, maybe like rabbit shape, rabbit shape garden. You want to the hedges and stuff. I'll show some picture over here so you can examples. I have bad handwriting, but and drawing too. Anyway, shape, like some people, like most of my plants, I like it to have an oval shape and the pot. The reason being is that when I have an oval shape right here, it's clean. I can water them easily. At the same time, I have a very bushy area on top, easier to maintain. Okay, and that's shape pruning. And the third one is called random pruning. Really, you just have you're just for random pruning, just clueless. You just go outside and you see maybe like for example, some kind of plants growing everywhere, and you just go in there and you say, you know what, this side it's very close to my other plants. Okay, I'm gonna just cut this side off, and maybe I just don't like this side. I'll just cut them off too, and I don't care. I'll cut this one off too. So you don't know what I mean, kind of you have a good idea what you're doing, but you don't know what you want to do with the plant. So you just randomly just trim them off. Okay, today we're going to talk about basically shape pruning. Reason being is if we go into a selective pruning, that will be more of bonsai and how to cure, how to alleviate disease trees and stuff. Those are more in the details and for other time for discussion You can probably look into that. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not a pro at doing bonsai. I'm not a big fan of bonsai. I not really a nurse, not a person that can help you heal your disease tree or suggest you have a broken branch, what to do with it. I'm more into a shape, or sometimes I call this very like average person pruning. Okay, now so since we're gonna go talk about this one, let me just start it. So we're gonna talk about back to the subject of this tree earlier. Sure, it's the same, but it's getting close. For example, I'm pretty sure you guys have, if you have a similar tree, you have leaves and stuff on it. I'm just making it branches, make it easier. So if you have a tree like this, now it depends on how high you want to go. Most of the time, the higher it goes, it'll tilt over the pot, tilt over the pot. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna lower it by cutting this area off. Now on the side, I'm gonna show you something real quick. So most of the time, think of any plants they are growing. They're usually growing like this. For example, think of a straight line. If you cut off this, they'll try to grow two more. And if you cut out here, if you mark the line, if you cut off these two, it'll grow two more. Now, not necessarily two, okay? It can grow three more. It depends on the plant. And another thing about pruning is make sure you know your plant, okay? Some plants are very forgetful when it comes to pruning. You can prune it and it will grow back within a few days. Some plants are very sensitive to pruning. You prune it, it probably won't fruit for a year, something like that. Okay, so just know your plant first. But like I said again, I'm going over the general stuff, not particularly for one plant or the other. Um, so that's why how you train. Let's see how you train it to become more bushier. So for example, if we now going back to this one, if we prune it right here, so the top part will be gone. Now you can use the branches and stuff for propagation if you want. It's really up to you. That's some of the stuff you can do when you prune the tree off. Okay, so we prune this one off. Most likely, it'll grow two more out. And when it grows, you pick the length, how long you want it to grow. And if you want it to grow right here, and you just need to cut them off again, prune them off again, and then it will grow two more. So see, let me just on the side do an example real quick. For example, this one, right? So we cut one off, it grows two more. We'll cut these two off, it grows four more. So over time, your plant, it become kind of like that. I'm sorry, not as well. Get the idea, but so you basically, you see, now if your plant, it grows more bushier. So as now instead of maybe flower blooms on one branch, you have flower blooms on many branches. So as you can see, this is kind of method that people use. Like you see all those online like flower are very bushier, like mine's like jasmine, orange jasmine. I'll show you a picture right there. So this is what you want, and I typically a big fan of dome shape, or you can call it lollipop shape. Like sometimes dome shape like this on the pot like down there, or sometimes like this and the pot down there like this. Now there are many ways you guys can train your plant, prune your plants, but that's the way I do it. Just remember, I always think of a pruning as, let me clear this one up. If you guys still looking, I'll just do it on the side over here. So think of a plant as like water going up. There's a game, which one is called the water flowing down the pipe. So basically, same thing. Plant grow upward. The proportion of upward growth is relative to the roots. So if you have small container and it's root bound to the plant, the plant will not grow like grow really big. Okay, it's really proportional to your pot. With this, the plant probably grows maybe like that. It could get a little bigger, definitely, but once it gets too big and the roots very heavily bounded, I recommend do a root prune, or you root prune, or you prune the top off and change it into a new bigger pot. Okay. All right. Let me see. Now, let me give you example real quick. So, if you have questions, just feel free to leave it below, or if you have a certain plant you don't know how to prune it, send me a picture. I'll try my best to help you. For example, we're gonna do example real quick. This is the pot, and I have night blooming jasmine, and I know my night blooming jasmine, it's a plant that's very forgetful when it comes to pruning. I did like 4 or 5 pruning this year, and every time I finish pruning, give it about a week, it start growing new shoots out. So let's say I have a night blooming jasmine. Okay, these are the branches coming out. Okay, and I'm just a random example. Something like that. And the main thing you guys want to know is for pruning, it's actually not hard. The general rule of pruning is just encourage your plant to grow in a certain way you want it, and also keep your plant healthy. Plant gets big, lengthy, and plants don't take care of themselves. In a way, I mean, they don't take care of themselves. So we have to take care. Think of it as like haircuts. You can get really long hair, nobody cares, but still, it doesn't look good. So you tidy up your stuff, and especially plants and stuff. It also encourages flower growth. Okay, let's just do like this. Okay, so by just looking at this night blooming jasmine, that's just the branches. Okay, you guys can. I'm pretty sure, like for example, you can add leaves and stuff here. Okay, flower buds, whatever you want to call it. Okay, now I know my night blooming jasmine flower buds. When they form the flower buds, I'm not gonna cut it off because I enjoy the fragrance. I want it to go after a flower. So most of the time, best time to prune. Best time to prune is usually after flowering, and for the fruit tree, well, after you see the fruits. Oh, fruits. Sorry, after fruits, fruiting. Okay. Now for trees that doesn't, well, I don't think there's any plants out there with trees doesn't flower. Maybe there are. You can prune it anytime you want. Just watch out for dormancy period. Dormancy, right? Dormancy, yeah. The reason being is sometimes, for example, back to our example, night blooming jasmine. Night blooming jasmine blooms all year round in a hot zone. Okay, so once it start blooming, after it's finished blooming, like I went over on my videos on how to prune jasmine, night blooming jasmine. After it blooms, you have a flower stalks left, and also it forms seeds and stuff. Those seeds are poisonous. So for people who don't use it for medicinal purpose or anything, you can cut them off. So you can prune right after flowering, and to prune the branches off. And like in our case, I would prune, like for example, we look at the overall balance balance of the plant and pick up the shape you want. For example, if I want the dome shape, here, let me use a different color, the blue color. So if I want a dome shape, I have some kind of shape in mind. So definitely, if I want a dome shape, I will definitely get rid of these guys up here, and these guys down here, the whole branch probably, and this branch right here too. Now, when you take these guys off, when you cut any branches off, the plant will put nutrients back into whatever the available branches over there, and they will grow. For example, after you cut these guys off, this guy might get a boost and put out new shoots and new branches. Now for top, it'll probably try to put out, here, let me change the color to be consistent, put out some new branches. So as you can see, it'll grow on the top. So the top one you need to pay attention to. So when it starts growing, just a little bit, you cut them off right away. You keep, another thing, when you're pruning the top branches, the branches on the top, they're growing the highest. That's called leader and on the plant, leader growth. You cut these leaders off, it will force the nutrient to go downward, to put more growth downward. So these guys will put out more branches because the nutrient from the top leader divided up down below. And these guys probably put out new branches down here. And over time, just keep the same process, the more and more will grow inside. And then you'll get your dome shape. Now, another thing about pruning is time. It's all about time. It's all about time and just be on the lookout. Just precision. I don't know. It's basically you need all the plants. You guys know as a gardener, you know all plants requires time to grow, and that's why I'm not a huge fan of bonsai. Don't get me wrong, bonsai is pretty cool. You can train your plants to grow the way it looks. Some bonsai plants are 200, maybe 1,000 years old. For me, I enjoy fragrance. I don't have that much time, and also for bonsai, you have to constantly maintain precision on where the branch is going to come out, and you have to use wire to train it. It's for me. It's just not for me. I mean, it's just not for me. Okay, personally, nothing against people who love bonsai out there. Bonsai is perfectly fine. It's a piece of art. Okay, for me, I enjoy fragrant plants. Okay, anyway, so when you keep doing that over time, it eventually forms the dome shape. And now, don't say that. Once you form dome shape, I'm done. That's about plant upkeep. You have to watch for it. And for my night blooming jasmine, over the summer, after I first prune, the second prune, it'll go up, grow out like that. It'll spike out in a certain area. Since these spikes has flower buds on them, I'm okay. I don't prune them. Once the flower buds are gone, I went in, just get a general shape again, and prune it one more time. And of course, I exaggerate a little bit. This pot could be bigger to balance it out. And also, next year, I'm probably repotting my night blooming jasmine. Okay, and I think today's video has been a little long because of video casting, and I don't know if my artwork get the point across. Basically, the bottom line to pruning is that don't worry about cutting your plants. You're not making your plants, what should I say? You're not killing your plants. Of course, now if you have a plant and just this small, it's perfectly balanced. If you want to prune a little bit off, yeah, you can prune a little bit off to train it to be more bushier. I would not. Now, this is just me personally. Cut right here. For some plants like jasmine, and certain very forgetful plants, cutting off here might encourage a little bit more growth down here. Yes, it does. But by doing the main branch off like that, you make your plant use up a lot of energy. Whatever left is like a last lifeline to put out these new growth. And if you decide to cut these growth off again, most likely your plants will get into a most likely plant gets a big shot. And sometime they will die. Okay, so I don't recommend doing that. For people who don't know what they're doing, like random pruning, they probably have no clues. If you want to kill the plant, something you don't like, you can probably do that, or just throw away, I guess. So for this example, like you cut these off, it'll grow two more out, it'll branch out, and then you cut the top, cut these guys off at a certain length you desire, it'll grow more out. Oops. It'll grow more out like that. So you basically make your plants more bushier. See, I'll just draw the layer. So make it bushier, and it's which like pruning is not hard. Once you prune many times, you'll get used to it. And sometimes when I go out there and prune, I just cut, cut, cut. You probably see on my video. And yeah, okay. I hope that will um, give you guys a pretty good idea on general pruning. Now, what do you do with the branches that you cut off? Now, that's just some tips. Okay, it's not for example, this long branch you cut off. You can use it for propagation, or you can use it for medicinal purpose. Certain type of plants have a medicinal purpose, like for example, neem trees, and also you can use them for mulch. Cut them into a smaller piece and put in like for example, for mine, neem tree. When I prune them off, get the leaves out, I put those leaves in my white champagne as a organic fertilizer. Okay, I think that's about it for today. Hope you enjoyed this video, and if you like it, please click like. If you have a question, I'll be more than happy to answer it for you. Just post it below. All right, thanks a lot, guys. We'll see you next time.